You know, wizards are odd people. They tend to live a very long time, have massive egos, and you shouldn't mess with their affairs, and they are never ever late, of course. A wizard is basically the personality of a grumpy cat in the body of a grumpy old person who just happens to have the ability to bend time and space by the power of thought alone. And again, much like cats, if you lock a bunch of them up in an enclosed space, there's going to be one heck of a loud noise and an almighty punch-up. I'm Lee Suss, and welcome to Chaos Battle of the Wizards. This is a game from 1985, created by the frankly epic Julian Gollop, and published by Games Workshop. And the game consists of 2 to 8 wizards in an enclosed arena, and they've got random stats and random spells. Only one of them is getting out. I used to play this on my Spectrum computer. It was one of my favourite games at the time when I was a kid, and coming back to it, it probably still is. Spectrum games have got a limited colour palette, so it isn't especially pretty compared to Commodore 64 games in the same era, and its sound effects, you can charitably call them distinctive. They can be ear destroying in volume and tone, so a word of warning for anyone hearing headphones. What it does have though is lots and lots of quality gameplay. No two games will be alike, and it'll be quite cutthroat, much like a Ludo or Monopoly game, and so playing with friends and family is considered risky. This is probably why Julian Gollop has more recently made Chaos Reborn, an up-to-date version with slightly newer mechanics and graphics, but still the same fun gameplay. Anyway, enough talk. Let's get in there so you can see what the heck I'm talking about. Let's start off by picking how many wizards we shall have in there. I think we'll go with 4. And too many wizards makes to leave a very crowded arena. And all you get if you put too many in there is a rapid exchange early on of things like fireballs and lightning bolts, and you've lost half your wizards anyway. Possibly your own character. We're going to make them. We have some cute wizards in here. We'll make them level 4. Level 8's a bit too scary. 1 is too weak, so 4 should give me enough of a challenge. I should be the first one. Computer controlled? No. You can have any or all the characters computer controlled. I'll be playing some games with the kids, so you can see those uploaded later, and they're quite good fun. But it's always nice to have a few computer players in there. I shall be number 7, and green. Second player. Oh goodness, I've got to think up wizard names now as well. Or witch names. There we go. Computer controlled. Yours. We'll make Granny Weatherwax number 6. Grey. We can have yours. And make him number 1. And red. Oh my goodness, a third name. That might be stretching my abilities a bit too much. No. Well, I'll put it in anyway. You probably won't recognise that unless you've actually read the books, but there we go. Going to control yours. There we go. 5. Okay, have a quick look at the board. So there we go, nice and simple. That's me. Granny Weatherwax, Sauron, and Bryn over in the corner. Let's go and look at our spells first. These are completely random. We'll look at the stats of every wizard's got stats. We'll look at those next in a next round. But let's look at the spells for now. It's completely random. How many you get is random as well. This is a slightly below average number, I guess. And at least half of them are usually creatures, and others will be either direct attacks or ways to affect the universe or equipment. So typical 1 through on here. The lighter the colour means the easier it is to cast. And look at the giant rat in number C. So there's the stats of the creature, and all the stats they have, they all vary from 0 to 9, 9 being the highest. So the poor old giant rat, combat 1, defense 1, it's a bit rubbish. I mean, they're a puny. A lot of these early creatures operate more like meat shields, or in this case, a rapid attack. It's got a movement allowance of 3. So the arena is divided up into grids, into squares, and you can move 1. If you've got a movement of 1, you can move 1 square every turn. The rat can move 3, so you can rush it in fairly fast. Got a manoeuvre rating of 8. That's to do with being able to get in and out of combat. If you're engaged in combat to somebody, you might not be able to get away with them to move away or go and attack something else. But a higher maneuver rating means you will be able to do that. Magic resistance 2, that's very low, but a casting chance of 100%, or I should say nearly. There's always a bit of wiggle room, so even 100% occasionally has the chance to fail. But that's a good standard one. We have a zombie in there as well. Again, fairly poor stats. It has the advantage of being undead, though. We'll come to undead later. Probably the most powerful creature I have here, by the look of it, is the vampire, hence the very dark colour of its lettering. Combat 6, defense 8. It's probably the most powerful undead you can get without creating undead yourself, if you had that advantage in the game. Casting chance only 20%, which is pretty low. And other ones in here, we have like lightning at the top. That's a direct attack spell. You have Pegasus is a flying creature we can ride on. We've got a magic bow. You know, there's a few good different things in here. We've got a good range of creatures, but they're all. I've only got a couple of easy ones to cast over on this, so that could cause problems early in the game. So let's select a spell. I want a basic meat shield to start with, and I'm going to pick. There's going to have to be the rat for an easiest chance. Illusion, yes or no? So what's the advantage of this? Well, if you make an illusionary creature, it will always cast correctly. You will always 100% chance of have that creature appear on the battlefield, and it'll have the same stats and abilities as a normal creature. If it's if the normal creature can fire in some way, then this creature will be able to fire in some way. If it's undead, it'll be undead on the battlefield, and it's quite capable of killing creatures and wizards. The disadvantage is that it takes one shot from a disbelieve spell, which is A at the top of my list. You can see there, and a illusionary creature will vanish instantly. You better use them carefully. If for example you summon a dragon, which is very hard to cast, and the wizard the opposing wizard looks at you, eyebrows raised, and decides to disbelieve it next round, well, they can. But if the dragon kills them in the same round that you've summoned it, well, you've won. So you've got to be careful how you use it. And all of these spells, apart from disbelieve, are one-shot spells. If they don't work, well, tough. It's extremely hard to get another spell. So it's not an illusion, and we'll continue with the game. So now I can summon the rat in any of the squares surrounding me, but I don't want to put it near Sauron down here, because he might get a bit antsy. He might get a bit. Every wizard has a threat assessment. He might decide I'm the main threat and attack me. So I'm going to put it here. And if I get the chance, I might run in and attack him or Granny. Granny's got a shield, which will increase her defense. Sauron's got a dark citadel. How appropriate. And Bryn's got a dagger. So yes, Granny's buffed her. This is now the movement turn now. Granny's buffed her defense very slightly. Sauron is going to hide in his castle, in his citadel, and that will keep him completely safe from everything for several rounds until this vanishes after a random amount of time. And this is basically a tougher. It's a wolf. You know what a wolf is. It's tougher than my rat, and it moves quite quickly. So that's a bit of a threat. So we're gonna be a chicken. If Sauron hadn't done anything like this, I'd be tempted to try and run my rat in and kill him, or run across here. But if I go too far, then the wolf is gonna come and attack me. So let's see what happens first, and then we'll decide what to do next. Granny is going to the corner. Sauron's going into his citadel, and the wolf is coming for me. Yes, it is. Okay, that's not so good. Right, notice now that at the top of the screen, under my name, it now says Chaos. That's because as we cast spells, we affect the nature of the universe, and the universe will shift either towards chaos or law. As it does so, it would affect the difficulty of the spells that we cast. So, I shouldn't think it's made a difference to the vampire yet, but no, it's still 20%. If the universe goes any more chaotic, then my vampire spells, which have a little star next to them, which are chaos spells, and the manticores I've got there, the zombie, will become easier to cast. And the Pegasus, or the Pegasi, what's a plural of Pegasus? I don't know. The Pegasi and the magic bow, which are lawful with a little arrow next to them, will become more difficult to cast. Nothing you can do about that. Sometimes you have spells that will shift the universe back the other way. But there you go. I have got two I've got I've got 3 neutral spells, not including Disbelieve. I've got Shadow Form, Magic Bolt, and Lightning. Oh, good direct attack spells there. They will never be affected by the nature of the universe. They will always be the same difficulty to cast. So, Magic Bolt's a nice easy one, nice long range, 100%. Lightning. Oh, I thought Lightning had a more difficult probability. I think Lightning is more powerful but a shorter range. So we've always got the 100% to do those. And Shadow Form, I might do Shadow Form now actually. That will increase my defense very slightly and buff my... and it'll mean I can move more squares per turn. I think I'm going to wait one more turn on the zombie. I want to see if the universe goes more chaotic. I'm going to select Shadow Form. A quick look at the board as well while we're here. Let's have a look at our stats. See how puny we are. Combat 3, Defense 3, Movement Allowance 1, Movement Rating 3. So, oops. Oh dear, that's not very good. That's gone a bit weird. What was happening there? So, our maneuver rating's quite low. If we get stuck in combat, we're not going to get out of it. We're pretty puny, quite frankly. Not as puny as the rat, but we're still pretty puny. Let's have a look at Granny. Much better defense, but that would have gone up by 1 because of the shield. 17 spells is pretty terrifying, and so is the ability too. I think ability refers to how easy it is for them to cast spells, so expect her to summon things that we would have more struggle doing. Granny's a bit scary. How about Sauron over here? So that's the Citadel, it's got no value at all. Sauron's combat 4, defense 6 is even more dangerous. Unfortunately, we can't. When he's inside something, we can't see what his spell level is. But he's. We have to face it. It's fast to say they're all tougher than me so far, unsurprisingly. And Bryn is 5/4. Yes, 15 spells. Yeah, these are. I shouldn't have picked level 4. I'm going to die. But there we go. That's the way the game goes. And Direwolf 3/2/3. So that's going to kill my rat very easily, and probably me as well. Let's continue with the game. See what happens. So now I can move 3. A giant? It could be an illusion. That's pretty hard to cast. And he hasn't got his magic shield. And what are you going to do, Bryn? A giant as well. Okay, that's good for that. Oh, poor old Sauron. That didn't last very long at all, did it? Usually Citadels last a bit longer than that, but... Okay, I'm stay over here. I think I might go for Sauron in a minute. I'm hoping that my my cowardliness will mean that wolf attacks the giant. The giant pretty there we go. Yes, go on. Fight. Fight. Yeah, that isn't likely to work, Mr. Wolf. You're about to get splatted. So the universe is back to neutral again, because there's some lawful spells being cast. That's not very helpful. I might have to... I don't want to summon the zombies. See, the thing about zombies, the undead cannot be attacked by normal creatures. They can only be hurt by other undead, or by magical attacks like lightning bolts, or by magical weapons like the magic bow. Which means they make great meat shields, and they're very hard to deal with. I think I'm not going to wait. I'm going to summon the zombie, I think. No, not illusion. And they tend to be slightly weaker than their living counterparts of the equivalent difficulty to cast. Yes, there we go. But their resistance makes up for it. A 4 is fairly puny. Sauron magic armor. Thank goodness for that. And a golden... Oh, come on. That's like one of the hardest things to cast. Right, I think I'm going to go for Mr. Sauron while I have a chance. I'm usually fairly pacifist. Well, which of course I'm a coward. But if I've got oh, there goes the wolf. Run away, little Sauron.